What is up, guys? It is TheCitrusPanda here today, and I'm coming at you with a review for Episode 3 of Log Horizon. So, let's do this. So, it starts off, and they're inside of a cave called the Depths of Palm, which is a dungeon sort of area, and they have to go through it, and it's kind of like a shortcut to Susukino, which is the town they're going to, which is pretty cool. And they're still, like, trying to get that girl named Serera. I think that's what her name is. And, anyway, they left Akihabara, however you want to say it. They left the beginning town about 3 days ago. And with the Griffins, they made, in 3 days, what would have taken 2 weeks by horse. So, they're going to cut the travel time so much just by using those Griffins. However, we did learn some things about the Griffins. The Griffins can only fly 4 hours a day, so the other 20 hours, I don't know about sleeping and things, but the other 20 hours they have to walk. We haven't been explained about sleeping yet. Do you have to sleep in this world? We don't know that yet, but possibly sleeping takes up a part of the day, maybe not. But besides the point, you can only use them for 4 hours a day, but even at that point, you can still travel way faster than any horse can take you. So, that's pretty dang awesome. Alright, so then, after that, you have a little bit of a transition over to Susukino, which is the town where Serera is being helped by a person. Or, you really shouldn't call him a person. He's actually a cat. His name is Nyata, something like that. And I'm butchering some of these pronunciations, but bear with me. And basically, she's in there, and she's like leveling up her maid level or something. I think that was supposed to be like a comedic element. And then, like, Nyata comes home, and he's got a rapier. Nyata is the person you saw at Episode 1 who saved Serera in Episode 1 at the very end. So that's who that was. And I knew probably he was going to be a bigger part of the show, but we never saw him until now. So, that's pretty awesome, and I want to see what's all about this guy. He kind of is suspicious, but at the end, there's something that kind of redeems him, so I'll get into that later. Anyway, so then they go into the dungeon, and they are faced with a lot of ratmen, and by they, I mean Shiro Akatsuki. I think her name is Akatsuki, actually, not Akatsuki, and Notsugu. So they all go into the Depths of Palm. And they see a lot of these monsters called Ratmen, who are level 40, there's tons of them, but they're really easy to kill. Now, they wanted to avoid conflict because it would take too long. So this shows that even though they're a really high level, not only are they kind of scared to fight almost, but more, they're not really scared, but they know that in the game right now, they're fighting differently than they would in the actual game. So it's almost like their level is like almost cut in half or something, because they're not performing like they would if they were playing in front of a monitor. You know, they're actually inside the game. So they basically venture on, and then they get to a bridge, and Akatsuki is about to fall through the bridge, and then Shiro says, wait up. And then, right when he runs out onto the bridge, he falls through and falls into the water way down below. So, then, I'll get into that in a second, actually. But then there is a big flashback scene. It has a lot to do with the debauchery tea party and things like that. How he was, in the real world, he didn't have tons of friends. And even when he did have some friends, but even when he was with friends, he didn't actually feel like, he kind of felt like he was alone. And he had a flashback to Debauchery Tea Party, which was his old guild, which they gave a little bit more information about each episode. In addition to the Debauchery Tea Party, he shows everybody who looked up to him in the game. Everybody knew Shiro as that guy who knew everything about the game, This is the guy that, hey man, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Because this guy knows everything. So, he was the guy that you went to for information, and he didn't really like that. He said it was pain. So, anyhow, that happened. And then, pretty much, I don't know if this happened before or after, but then they switched back over to Akihabara, which is the first city. And at that point, they show the guild, like the guild that they're actually going on the mission for, to go save Sierra. And the people in the guild, they're having this big meeting between a lot of guild members, and, okay, I'm about to do these names, and they're pretty crazy. This one's pretty easy. Woodstock W of Grander. So Grander is another guild that we haven't heard about yet. Then we've got, okay, Ichimo Jinisuki. Ichimo Jinisuki. Akaneya.
Whatever the name you want to give him.
Something like that. Alright, he's the leader of Radio, so that's pretty cool. It's Radio something, actually. I forget what Radio Master, something along those lines. But I don't know if those are really important details or not, but those could be potentially important guilds in the future. So, right after that, Akatsuki and Notsugu jump in after Shiro. You don't actually see this happen, but they tell him when they wake up. Now, also, when they all wake up at the bottom of the waterfall area in the dungeon, they all have their clothes off. Like, not, I mean, they're not naked. Like, they're not naked. They're not naked. They just don't have, like, their armor on, which is kind of a cool feature. Like, whenever something happens to you, your armor falls off or whatever, then the next scene they have it back on. So, it's probably just like a click of a button and boom, it's back on. So, they keep on walking, and then they make it to another area. They switch zones, and then they've got to fight a boss. Now, this is probably the most action-packed fight of the whole series. Maybe beaten by the other episode when they were fighting all those PvPers, or PKers, whatever you want to call them. And it was a pretty awesome fight. Now, we actually got a lot more things. Now, I want to talk about debuffs really quick. Those rat men back there, another reason they didn't really want to fight those rat men was because they had a plague debuff. So I'm thinking maybe it like poisons you and does damage over time, or it makes you weaker. But in the fight between the boss, Shiro uses a spell called Mind Shock, and that actually it has the Confuse debuff effect, and it lowers their dodge/agility. So basically, he does that so that Notsugu and Akatsuki could actually hit without missing. So that's pretty cool. Now we know that you can actually miss in this game. And in addition to that, he also uses a cool spell called Keen Edge, which increases his allies' attack power. So then Akatsuki does the final blow, and it dies. Now, they basically go out onto this cliff afterward, and they say, almost like the flashback that Shiro had when he was with Debauchery Tea Party, they were at the same location, I believe, and they were looking out over the valley and saying, it's fun to experience new things. And then Shiro says, you know, wow, we're the first ones to actually see this, because you can see it in a game, but they're actually the first ones to actually see it. So, right after that, it cuts to something that really makes, I want to see what happens in episode 4. It goes back to the town of Susukino, where Niata is helping Sarara, and there is a guild of some sort just completely burning the place down. And everybody's getting killed, everybody's being forced to give up their items, and then one of the guys, his name isn't stated, but he says, you know, I can't do this, you know, this is stupid, I'm not going to try to do this, because he was one of those people who had second thoughts about it, I guess. You know, he didn't want to kill people and take all their money. Then, all of a sudden, Demicus, I don't even know what his name is, Demacus, comes up behind him with this big claw and just slices him, and he goes flying against the wall and probably goes back to the cathedral. And Demicus, we'll call him Mr. D. Mr. D, he's a pretty tough guy, he looks like. He's the leader of the guild, and then right at the end of the episode, first of all, he explains, you know, it's just a game. We're killing people, it's just a game, which might foreshadow that maybe this isn't just a game. Possibly this could be more. The way he's saying it, like, it just seems like, oh, wow, you know, this could actually be an actual bad thing, but maybe not. Maybe it will just stay the same. But at the end, he says, you know, we gotta find the cat and Surara, and he wants to teach her a lesson. Now, I don't know why he wants to teach her a lesson, but we'll find out. Maybe he was the guy that Niata, like, he beat those people down, and they were trying to capture Surara. I'm not really sure what the importance there is, but we'll find out next episode. Overall, I thought this episode was very enjoyable. If I were to rate this, I'd probably give it a 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. Pretty awesome episode, and I'll see you guys next time.